Imagine waking up in a place where people sleep on staircases, families live inside bathroom stalls, and there's no room to even stretch your legs. These places exist, and they're worse than you think. From cities with rivers of trash to entire islands sinking under human weight. You won't believe what life looks like in these crowded corners of the earth.
Number 12. Ho Chi Minh City. Vietnam's economic powerhouse moves 9.4 million people primarily by motorbike, creating unique urban density challenges. Streets become rivers of two-wheeled traffic where pedestrians navigate through constant mechanical flow. Population density reaches 4,600 people per square kilometer, but feels much higher due to street-level activity intensity. The city's rapid growth outpaces infrastructure development, creating daily challenges for basic services like electricity and water. Street vendors establish mobile businesses that move with traffic patterns, selling everything from fresh pho to electronics. Colonial architecture gets dwarfed by modern apartment blocks as developers maximize limited urban space. Economic opportunities attract rural migrants who crowd into informal settlements lacking basic amenities. The Saigon River provides transportation and commerce corridors while serving as waste disposal for millions of residents. Tropical heat combines with urban density to create challenging living conditions that require constant adaptation. Night markets transform streets into pedestrian zones where locals and tourists navigate through vendor setups. Coffee culture thrives on sidewalk cafes where patrons sit inches from roaring traffic. Industrial development creates air pollution that affects visibility and health across the metropolitan area. Traditional markets operate in spaces originally designed for much smaller populations.
Number 11. Bangkok. Thailand's capital hosts 10.9 million residents, while welcoming 22 million annual tourists, creating population pressures that defy urban planning logic. The city's infrastructure struggles under weight of permanent and temporary populations that create constant overcrowding. SkyTrain systems pack passengers like sardines during rush hours, while street-level traffic moves at crawling speeds through narrow roads. Floating markets and street food stalls occupy every available space, creating pedestrian obstacle courses through vendor setups. Population density exceeds 6,000 people per square kilometer, but tourist concentrations make certain areas feel much more crowded. Tuk-tuks navigate impossible spaces while carrying tourists through neighborhoods where locals conduct daily business. The Chao Phraya River serves as both transportation corridor and waste disposal system for millions of residents. Night markets transform streets into human rivers, where movement requires patience and strategic navigation. Hotel construction booms to accommodate tourism while displacing local communities to less desirable areas. Air conditioning systems work overtime against tropical heat, creating energy demands that strain electrical grids. Traditional temples provide brief respites from urban chaos, though they too face overcrowding from tourists and local visitors. Cultural preservation struggles against commercial development pressure in historically significant neighborhoods.
I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel. So leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go!
Number 10. Macau. This tiny Chinese territory demonstrates extreme population density by packing 680,000 people into just 12.7 square miles, creating density exceeding 50,000 people per square mile. The territory's land area equals half of Manhattan, yet population density exceeds New York City by 20 times. Vertical development maximizes limited space through residential towers that rise like concrete pillars across the territory. The casino industry attracts millions of tourists annually who add to already crowded streets and transportation systems. Public transportation operates beyond capacity, while private vehicles create traffic jams that last for hours on narrow roads. Street vendors occupy every available corner, selling everything from traditional foods to electronics while navigating constant pedestrian traffic. The territory's bridge connections to mainland China create additional population pressure from commuters and visitors. Housing costs reach extreme levels when limited space creates competition for apartments smaller than hotel rooms. Cultural sites attract visitors while serving daily needs for local residents, creating crowding at historically significant locations. The territory's unique.
Number 9. Osaka. Japan's kitchen serves up intense urban density alongside world-class cuisine, packing 2.7 million residents into 225 square kilometers. Population density exceeds 12,000 people per square kilometer, creating a city that feels perpetually rush hour. The urban landscape blends ancient temples with modern skyscrapers, while neon signs compete for attention in districts that never sleep. Commuter trains operate with precision timing, moving human rivers through stations designed for maximum efficiency. Street food vendors occupy every available corner, serving takoyaki and okonomiyaki to crowds that form constant queues. Housing prices force residents into increasingly compact living spaces, where tatami mats define room dimensions. The Kansai region's commercial heart pumps economic energy through narrow streets where bicycles weave between pedestrians and delivery trucks. Nightlife districts like Dotonbori transform into human seas, where movement requires patience and strategic planning. Department stores rise vertically to accommodate shopping needs in spaces where horizontal expansion remains impossible. Public baths and small parks provide brief respites from the urban intensity. Cultural festivals draw additional crowds to already packed streets, creating density levels that challenge city infrastructure. Despite overcrowding, social etiquette maintains order through unwritten rules about personal space and public behavior.
Number 8. Hong Kong. Space becomes a luxury when 7.33 million people squeeze into just 1,100 square kilometers. Hong Kong transforms every available inch into living space, creating a vertical city where apartments shrink to parking space dimensions. The population density reaches 6,800 people per square kilometer, but the real story lies in how residents adapt to extreme closeness. Most livable land gets consumed by towering apartment blocks that stretch toward the sky like concrete trees. Nanoflats become the norm, with families adapting to spaces smaller than hotel rooms. The MTR subway system moves millions daily through tunnels that connect this human anthill. Street markets overflow with vendors selling everything from electronics to dim sum, while pedestrians navigate sidewalks packed tighter than stadium concerts. Financial towers pierce the skyline, housing global businesses that drive the economy forward despite spatial constraints. Protected parks and steep hills consume much of the territory, forcing development into increasingly creative vertical solutions. Residents develop unique skills for navigating crowds, from timing subway rides to finding quiet corners in bustling neighborhoods. The city pulses with constant movement, where personal space becomes a forgotten concept and proximity breeds both tension and community.
Number 7. Taichung. Taiwan's second-largest city houses 2.85 million people across 855 square miles, creating varied population density that reaches extreme levels in central districts. Some areas exceed 20,000 residents per square mile, while rapid growth strains infrastructure designed for smaller populations. The city's economic growth attracts migrants from rural areas who crowd into districts where housing costs rise faster than wages. Night markets create temporary population concentrations where vendors and customers navigate through human rivers that flow between food stalls. Public transportation systems struggle to serve populations that spread across urban areas originally designed for much smaller communities. Industrial development creates jobs while adding pollution that affects air quality and living conditions for millions of residents. The city's port handles international trade, while residential areas compete for space with commercial development projects. Educational institutions serve students from across Taiwan while competing for space with residential development in crowded districts. Traditional temples provide community centers where residents gather despite overcrowded conditions and limited personal space. Urban planning attempts to balance growth with livability, but rapid population increases challenge infrastructure development. Climate conditions create additional challenges when tropical heat combines with urban density to affect health and comfort.
Number 6.
Kaohsiung, Taiwan's third-largest city, packs 2.73 million people into 1,140 square miles, but uneven development creates extreme density in districts like Sinsing and Linga. Some neighborhoods exceed 25,000 residents per square mile, creating living conditions that challenge urban planning assumptions. The city's massive port operations compete with residential areas for space, creating industrial noise and pollution that affects daily life. Economic opportunities attract workers who crowd into districts where housing costs rise faster than local wages. Public transportation systems serve populations that spread across urban areas originally designed for much smaller communities. Night markets transform streets into pedestrian zones, where vendors and customers navigate through commercial obstacles. Industrial development creates jobs while adding air pollution that affects health and visibility across the metropolitan area. The city's location on Taiwan's southern coast creates climate challenges when tropical heat combines with urban density. Educational institutions serve students from across Taiwan while competing for space with residential development in crowded districts. Traditional markets operate in spaces designed for much smaller populations, creating crowded conditions that affect daily commerce. Urban planners struggle to balance industrial needs with residential requirements in spaces where every square foot counts. Cultural sites attract visitors while serving daily needs for local residents, creating crowding at historically significant locations.
Number 5. Lagos. Nigeria's economic capital packs 22 million people into 452 square miles, creating population density that exceeds Los Angeles, with 6 times the population. The city's rapid growth attracts migrants from across Nigeria who crowd into districts where basic services struggle to meet demand. Traffic congestion reaches legendary status, where movement requires hours to travel short distances through gridlocked streets. The city's port handles international trade, while residential areas compete for space with commercial development projects. Street vendors establish businesses wherever space allows, creating commercial activity that blocks sidewalks and roadways. Economic opportunities continue attracting rural migrants despite deteriorating living conditions in urban areas. Housing shortages force residents into informal settlements where electricity and water remain unreliable. Population density exceeds 27,000 people per square mile in some districts, creating living conditions that challenge urban planning assumptions. The city's energy creates a vibrant cultural scene, while infrastructure struggles to accommodate massive populations. Public transportation systems operate beyond capacity, while private vehicles create air pollution that affects health and visibility. Traditional markets operate in spaces designed for much smaller populations, creating crowded conditions that affect daily commerce. Climate conditions create additional challenges when tropical heat combines with urban density to affect health and comfort.
Number 4. Kowloon Walled City. History's most densely populated settlement packed 50,000 people into 0.026 square kilometers, creating population density exceeding 1.9 million per square kilometer. This Hong Kong anomaly operated without government oversight, building codes, or urban planning for decades. Over 300 interconnected buildings created a vertical maze where sunlight rarely penetrated interior spaces. Residents navigated through narrow corridors that connected living spaces, workshops, schools, and businesses in organic chaos. Water systems consisted of improvised pipes that leaked constantly, while electrical connections created fire hazards throughout the complex. Families raised children in spaces smaller than closets, while rooftop areas provided the only access to natural light. The settlement included doctors, dentists, food vendors, and manufacturers who operated thriving businesses within the lawless enclave. Waste disposal systems remained inadequate for the population density, creating sanitation challenges that residents solved through improvisation. Social order emerged through community cooperation rather than formal authority, demonstrating human adaptability under extreme conditions. Demolition in 1993 ended this unique urban experiment, but its legacy influences discussions about housing density and urban planning. Photography and documentation from the settlement reveal living conditions that challenge assumptions about minimum space requirements. The site now serves as a park, but memories of its incredible human density continue inspiring urban designers worldwide.
Number 3. Delhi.
India's capital region demonstrates what happens when 33 million people occupy 573 square miles, creating population density that reaches 58,000 people per square mile in inner zones. The metropolitan area houses more people than entire countries, while struggling with infrastructure that can't accommodate such massive populations. The Delhi metro system moves millions daily through tunnels that connect residential areas to commercial districts with precision timing despite overcrowding. Air pollution creates permanent haze that affects visibility and respiratory health across the metropolitan area. Housing shortages force residents into informal settlements where basic services like electricity and water remain unreliable. Traffic congestion creates daily challenges where commutes take hours to travel short distances through gridlock streets. Street vendors occupy every available corner, selling everything from fresh foods to electronics while navigating constant pedestrian traffic. The city's political importance attracts migrants from across India who crowd into districts where housing costs rise faster than wages. Cultural sites attract visitors while serving daily needs for local residents, creating crowding at historically significant locations. Economic opportunities continue attracting rural migrants despite deteriorating living conditions in urban areas. Public services struggle to meet needs of populations that exceed infrastructure capacity designed for much smaller communities. Climate conditions create additional challenges when extreme heat combines with urban density to affect health and comfort.
Number 2. Santa Cruz del Islote. Caribbean isolation creates one of Earth's most densely populated spots, where 500 people inhabit just 2.5 acres of coral rock. This Colombian island makes Manhattan look spacious with its incredible human concentration. Homes stack against each other like building blocks, with some structures built directly on coral to maximize every square foot. Daily life requires boat trips for basic needs. Children travel to neighboring islands for school, while medical emergencies mean frantic journeys to mainland hospitals. Electricity flows for only a few hours daily, and fresh water arrives by boat delivery. The community operates like an extended family, with most residents connected by blood or marriage. Traditional fishing sustains the economy, while tourism brings occasional visitors who struggle to comprehend the living conditions. Waste management becomes a constant challenge on an island with no disposal infrastructure. Social dynamics intensify when neighbors live within arm's reach, creating both strong bonds and inevitable conflicts. The island's coral foundation slowly erodes, making long-term sustainability questionable. Yet, residents display remarkable adaptability, creating functional communities in spaces most would consider uninhabitable. Children grow up knowing every face, every story, every corner of their tiny oceanic world.
Number 1. Jakarta. Indonesia's capital demonstrates what happens when 11 million people occupy a city that literally sinks beneath their feet. The metropolitan area swells to 30 million when including surrounding communities, creating one of Earth's largest urban sprawls. Traffic congestion reaches legendary status, where walking often proves faster than driving through gridlocked streets. The city sinks several inches annually due to groundwater extraction, creating flooding that combines with monsoon rains for aquatic chaos. Street vendors operate from every available corner, selling everything from fresh fruit to electronic repairs while navigating constant traffic. Motorbikes weave through impossible spaces, carrying entire families and business inventories through organized pandemonium. Population density varies dramatically between districts, with some areas reaching suffocating levels, while others remain relatively spacious. Air pollution creates permanent haze that affects visibility and respiratory health across the metropolitan area. The government plans an entirely new capital city to relieve pressure on Jakarta's overwhelmed infrastructure.
Informal settlements house millions in substandard conditions, where basic services like clean water and electricity remain unreliable.
Now I have a special recommendation for you. Are you seeing this video that is appearing on the screen? Click on it because I'm sure you'll like it. Well, that's it, and until next time, Curious One.